Hi, folks. Today's episode is brought to you by sunsetlakesabade.com. If you use the code Left is Best, you get 20% off. Well, I don't need to tell you that 2026 has already started off being rather distressing. And there's no shame in needing to lean on a little support from your friends at sunsetlakesabade.com. They can help you out with some pre-roll smokables, some flour, some keef, all sorts of gummies. Gummies with THC, gummies with Sabade, gummies with melatonin to help you sleep, gummies with Seba and Sabade to help you sleep, gummies to help you focus, gummies to help you keep calm. I've got some of the focus ones right here, actually. All sorts of products. They have tinctures. They've got fudge. They've got coffee with Sebade. All sorts of products. Lotions to keep you hydrated, your skin hydrated during these winter months when you're going out and protesting. sunsetlakesabade.com. They don't use pesticides. They use integrated pest management to deal with those little pesky pests. They also use other great farming practices like regenerative farming. And they have great business practices, $20 minimum wage, mostly employee-owned. And they also have their movement partners. They've donated tens of thousands of dollars to things like carceral reform, refugee resettlement, Planned Parenthood, on and on and on. Just an all-around great company. And these days, a product you may lean on quite a bit. Nothing like some Sebade, just to sort of like calm yourself in an era when your regulatory system may be slightly dysregulated. sunsetlakesabade.com. Use the code Left is Best. You'll get 20% off. And now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday. Tuesday, Casual Tuesday. Wednesday, Casual Hump Day. Thursday, Casual Thurs. That's what we call it. And Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, January 9th, 2026. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, look back on the first full week of 2026. Already a crap show. Who better to review than Jeet Heer, national affairs correspondent for The Nation magazine. Also on the program today, federal thugs shoot two people, I should say, in Portland. Portland officials already starting to look into investigating those thugs. Trump supposedly calls off a second wave of attacks on Venezuela as he meets with oil executives and talking about how to divvy up their national assets. House passes ACA subsidies by a discharge petition, now headed to the Senate. House also passes partial funding bills. Remember, we have a government shutdown possibility, or at least now a partial one, on January 31st. Meanwhile, DHS funding still in play as pressure mounts on Jeffries and Schumer to actually exert their leverage to control ICE. 5 Democratic attorney generals, meanwhile, sue the Trump regime for denying sites appropriated funds. In other words, Trump has already shut down parts of the government. The parts that service working class people, people living in poverty, and people who are in blue states. Meanwhile, Donald Trump announces he will meet with Nobel Prize winning would-be new leader of Venezuela, Machado, and says he's open to taking her Peace Prize.
Give me that.
Nice of her. I thought she wouldn't ask.
The Iranian government shuts down the internet during a violent crackdown on protests. And guess who they're using as an excuse to crack down on those protests? Donald Trump and his grandstanding about it. Economy adds only 50,000 jobs in December. This was the weakest jobs years, 2025 was, in decades. War Powers resolution moves forward in the Senate in a bit of a surprise. And more revelations of the Minnesota ICE shooter who fled the scene. He's a vet, he's MAGA, and he's been on the deportation beat for over a decade. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Attorneys General. I screwed that up and people get upset. But it is
Casual Friday.
Casual Friday. So therefore, I'm a little casual in
It really
the way.
upsets me when you screw that up.
Yeah. Brian gets very upset.
Grammar police.
I listen
I'm
to
a
the show.
details guy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
listen to the show for the grammar and pronunciation.
Yeah. Well, those are the people who are very hopeful. That's that contingency. It is the first Friday of January, I should
Holy
say, of
moly.
2026.
It's only been a week that we've been back.
I would have to say these could have been the longest 5 days
Seriously.
that I can remember in 20 years.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're listening in a coal mine, you should feel better. You should know how hard our job is.
Yeah, 'Cause exactly.
I'm completely worn down.
Well, to be fair, coal mine is difficult every week. Our job gets, you have to adjust to changing conditions. That's difficult. But we did have good news this week. Zoran Mamdani, who we were told had a slate, a very specific policy agenda. I think it was three or four policy points that were really he ran on. It was free and fast buses. It was rent freeze for rent controlled apartments. It was universal free daycare, and just a broad affordability agenda. But those three big ones. Oh, and I would say there were four. He wanted to do 4 or 5 government or city-run
Grocery
supermarkets.
stores, yeah.
But that's sort of like we didn't hear so much about that in the closing weeks because I mean it just never captured the imagination of the Cuomoites and the Islamophobes and the neoliberals as much as they had hoped. So we just didn't hear as much about it, but it was still obviously part of his plank. But we were told over and over again how once they shifted from that's a horrible idea, it shifted into and it'll never happen.
Yep.
It could never happen. I mean, we were told this by the policy wonks, the ones who built their careers on being sort of level-headed, center-left policy wonks. Where was this one from?
This was Annie Lowry in her piece on.
Oh yeah, Annie Lowry. Look, I'm not responsible for my ex-wife, and I certainly didn't, and wasn't responsible for my wife when I was married. So, but she is, I mentioned that because Ezra Klein, she's obviously Ezra Klein's married to Ezra Klein, but she held and holds a position not too dissimilar than Ezra Klein's, at least, ideologically speaking. And Mamdani is Cuomo's rumpled earnest foil, she wrote. When was this? Back over the summer.
Yeah, this was in the primary.
And his resume is thin. He worked as a campaign operative for a few years before winning a state assembly seat in 2020. Incidentally, that was 5 years ago. I mean, 5 years of state government. Okay.
Do you think that they were? Yeah, I mean, this was what it sounded like when Obama was only a senator for 2 years, and the centrists were saying the same thing until they realized, oh, he's one of us.
He's a leftist Bernie Sanders in the leftist Bernie Sanders mold with a raft of great sounding policies. Free buses, exclamation point. Free childcare, cheap groceries, frozen rents. But a lot of these are impractical at best. Free buses would deprive the MTA of needed revenue. We'll see about that. Free childcare would require a mammoth tax hike that Albany would need to approve, which has shown no interest in doing. Well, to be fair, we've got to give it a little bit of time. Mamdani's been in office for 8 days now, and of course he announced with Hochul they are rolling out the free universal childcare for New York City and actually expanding it in the state too. They're starting pilot programs. Now, they don't have a dedicated revenue stream yet in terms of like 2-3 years out. But the idea is create facts on the ground, shifting the budget, and they're going forward with this. And that was the biggest one. To be honest with you, that's the biggest, that's the most expensive, that's the most ambitious, and they went for that big time.
And when Lowry says Albany has shown no interest in doing this, the centrists and people who don't want to change the system act like politics is static. And it's the same people that will use poll testing to drive their policies. These were the popularists that branded themselves as such during the Kamala Harris run, which they act like they cannot change or shift public opinion by governing or making things possible via messaging. So they will argue that nothing can change because of the situations that currently exist. Trump has shown how you can drastically shift public opinion.
In both ways.
In many ways, right. Just by hammering a certain message. And obviously Mamdani is both like righteous and also good. You know, this is what good governance looks like.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, and Annie Lowry is not like, it's not specifically about Annie Lowry. There was a lot of these ilk who were writing this stuff. And making this argument, and been making this argument for years and years and years. I mean, Matt Iglesias, I think, was the one, I don't know if he came up with the term Green Lantern or Green Lanternism, where, President Obama has the ability to do anything because he's got some type of like superpowers. I don't know if it was Iglesias, but he certainly made the term popular. And it's basically just a way of insisting that you don't expect more from your politicians, or that they have, or that specific politicians have the ability to move the needle on specific policies.
Yeah, it's just motivated reasoning for the status quo.
100%. And meanwhile, Mamdani, fresh off of what, I mean, obviously was an unimaginable win for a lot of people. And frankly, I mean, we had said he's got to move quick. But in a million years, I would have not bet that he would have been able to move that quick.
This transition team that he ended up being able to fund was key, with all of these incredible people in it. Julie
and they were doing it before that.
And they were doing it before.
Before the official transition team, we were talking to people during in the final weeks of the campaign, where they were saying like they have a transition team, but they weren't just like focusing on transition. They were focusing on this. I mean, this stuff had been negotiated out.
This is a laboratory for governance as well as democratic socialist policy.
100%. And like we said the other day, this is sort of like they're putting together almost like the best parts of the Biden administration in exile. With this,
which were, as we know, the concessions that Bernie and Warren got from Biden. But anyway,
and I guess it was Ezra Klein who wrote the Green Lantern presidency in 2015.
God,
but at that
so
time,
dumb.
they were all sort of like, it was Iglesias and him at Fox. Meanwhile, in the wake of what we've seen in Minneapolis and now in Portland, Mamdani and others, and we'll cover those other progressive DAs and mayors have basically planted their flags, and they are basically saying, well, here is Mamdani and his response to what happened in Minneapolis.
I have made it clear to everyone within my city government, and that extends to NYPD, that we are going to uphold our sanctuary city policies. We are going to adhere to them. That is why one of the 11 executive orders that we signed was to repeal the previous administration's order to allow for collaboration with ICE on Rikers Island. What we are going to be doing is following the laws that we have set, laws which have kept New Yorkers safe. And we are going to make it clear to each and every person in the city what their rights are.
He was also on CNN and MSNBC last night saying something similar, and he explained what sanctuary city policies were. Basically, that you need a warrant signed by a judge if you're going to enter things like schools and other places that I believe the city has jurisdiction over. And it occurred to me when I was hearing that I don't know if I've heard another prominent Democratic politician talk about what sanctuary city laws actually are. Because for so long, the Republicans have defined it as like basically weak on crime, soft liberals in cities who are not making you safe. And they use the crime panic because of the spike in crime that has now precipitously declined that we saw in 2021 and 2022 due to the once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. So the Democrats completely abandoned that issue and allowed Republicans to define it. And Zoran is here actually explaining to people that it's actually common sense.
But here's the real question. It is one thing to remind people that ICE needs a judicial warrant to enter into private property. And we've seen them time and time blow through that. The question becomes at that point, if we see ICE doing that, going into a store and attempting to just tackle somebody because they look like they're, Latino or brown or have an accent or whatever it is. The question becomes then, do the cops come in and go, you are trespassing, you're assaulting this person, and put them in cuffs? I mean, we're going to see. But you can see, we've had a couple of protests in New York City over the past couple of days, obviously in the wake of both of Venezuela and in Minneapolis. And there is we'll see how long this can be maintained, but there is a distinct difference in the way that the cops are dealing with these protests. You don't see the riot gear come out
right
at Jump Street, essentially, and we'll see.
But in the absence of a lot of national Democratic messaging on this, in terms of at least leadership, AOC, others have been good on this. ICE's approval rating has completely collapsed with the American public. Like when Trump took office, it was plus 16 per YouGov and The Economist. Now it's minus 14 in terms of the approval rating, and over 20-point increase. This was a civics poll in support for abolishing it altogether, and that is without Democrats pushing it. So that energy is there, but it can dissipate quite easily if there isn't a national agenda to support that anger.
And we'll talk to Jeet Heer about that and more in just a moment. Beginning of the year, you've made some New Year's resolutions, I imagine. Some people, when you get to be my age, one of them is, I got to take care of my health a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if you're one of those people, let's say, who hasn't seen a dentist in 15 years, you're wondering, how will I find a dentist? Well, it's not just dental. It could be anything, Brian.
I got great teeth.
It is, and I've been very fortunate. I have found good doctors over my life now. But there are times where maybe there's I had an emergency and I was out of town. I needed to find a dentist. I found a great one, and I did it through ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. And we'll take care of you, Brian. I mean, obviously, this applies to everybody, but not just Brian. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all states. Look, I get it. The idea of finding a new doctor and dealing with it and just even going to a first appointment is sometimes feels exhausting. But ZocDoc makes it easy. It doesn't matter whether you're looking for dermatology, dentistry, primary care, eye care, or one of the other 200 plus specialties offered on ZocDoc. You can easily search by specialty or symptom. And when you're ready, you can see their real-time availability and click to book instantly. No phone tag, no waiting around, no negotiating with somebody who's working at the front desk. They just, the appointments pop up, bingo, bango, you nail one. And usually appointments made through ZocDoc happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even have some same-day appointments. I want to thank ZocDoc for sponsoring today's episode, helping both Emma and Matt and myself. And soon, Brian, stop putting off those doctor's appointments.
I don't want fingers in my mouth.
And go to ZocDoc.com/majority. Well, you can search like, does this dentist put their fingers in your mouth? And I imagine they all do that. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/majority to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/majority. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/majority. Thanks, ZocDoc, for sponsoring this message. Also, beginning of the new year, you're thinking about how you're going to live maybe a healthier year and all the stress that may be associated with this year. Ritual takes the pressure off, at least fulfilling that one thing in terms of making sure you're getting your vitamins. Their evidence-based essential multivitamins contains key nutrients that are often missed in the average diet. Doesn't matter whether it's holiday season or not, in high-quality, bioavailable forms that your body can actually use. I've told the story a million times, but for perennially, is that the way or annually? Every year, I would go to my doctor's. I would see my doctor's appointment, take my blood, and he'd come back. Your vitamin D is low, and I would go. I'd leave my doctor's office, or I would at that point I would go and get the vitamin D. I would take it for a month. I'd forget about it. It was very difficult for me to remember to take it, and then whatever. Ritual came along. Not only do they send you on a monthly basis the vitamins you need, but for me, the big key was gentle on your stomach. So like when I remember it, it's usually like I haven't eaten. And then if you wait, I'm going to wait until I take it till after I eat, then I forget. But the other parts about it that I really like is that has traceable key ingredients. That means that like you know where these vitamins are coming from, the different elements associated with them, because there are some countries, frankly, where you don't necessarily want your vitamins from because the stuff isn't necessarily free of junk that's been put into the ground. Ritual is a science-backed multivitamin for men 18 plus with high quality, like I say, traceable key ingredients in clean bioavailable forms. Vitamin D3 to support normal muscle and immune function, and omega-3 DHA to support heart and brain health. They're essential for men 18 plus. I take the over 50. Multivitamin contains 10 key nutrients and 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day. Designed to be gentle on the stomach with a minty essence in every bottle that helps make taking your multis actually enjoyable. Ritual multivitamins are vegan, non-GMO project certified, gluten and major allergen free, and like I say, made traceable. Essential for Men is a quality multivitamin from a company you can actually trust. For a limited time, save 40% on your first month at ritual.com/majority. That's ritual.com/majority for 40% off your first month. Check it out. We will put the links and coupon codes in the podcast and YouTube description. Also, just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. You want the free show free of commercials? Go to jointhemajority.report.com. All right, quick break. When we come back, Jeet Heer, national affairs correspondent for The Nation. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on The Majority Report. It is a pleasure to welcome back, for the first time this year, Jeet Heer, national affairs correspondent at The Nation magazine, and also the proprietor of the YouTube channel Cultural Logic, which I hope people will check out.
Continuing my long trend of appropriating Marxist titles for IP purposes.
I love it. Yes. Folks should check it out. We'll put a link to that too. I mean, you've got, let me just Marty Supreme, cover up the comedy of anxiety and rogue performers. What was it? Jeffrey Epstein, The American Empire, and Pynchon's Gravity Rainbow.
Yeah.
Just to give folks a sense of like the
breadth
cultural
of-
logic
yeah,
of
right.
what's going on
Cultural
there.
logic.
All right, Jeet.
I'm gonna do one now called Seymour Supreme, which is about the similarities between the ping pong player played by Timothée Chalamet and our greatest living investigative reporter.
Seymour Hersh?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that sounds fascinating. I have yet to see Marty Supreme, so
It's great. It's
no
great.
spoiler
It
alerts.
is very good, yes.
Yes.
But speaking of spoilers, the year's gone off. It's not gone off to the best start. It began with our coup. I mean, is that what you would call it? It was a coup, really.
Well, it was cool, except we had some editorial discussions at The Nation because some people said a coup has to be internal. So it's an external coup, or it's like, Trump deciding to impose a coup. And by all evidence, working with the existing Venezuelan regime to, get the scapegoat of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. But otherwise keeping everything in place. So I mean, I think it's actually important to understand that this is, Trump always says, we're not doing regime change wars anymore, and I guess in a sense this is right, because you're not changing the regime, you're keeping the regime in place, but changing the leader.
And I mean, it feels like this was. I mean, it's telling because it is a prime example of Donald Trump using whatever millions of dollars were associated with the 11 warships off the coast of Venezuela. Who knows how many millions and millions of dollars we're expending to pirate Venezuelan ships with oil. We obviously we killed probably over 100 people in fishing boats, or maybe they were drug running, small time drug running speed boats. We killed around 75 people in this kidnapping of Maduro. I mean, it's unclear even there's been people suggested that maybe we made some type of deal with Maduro as well. But it all seems to be for the benefit of some hedge funders and oil execs. There's no plunder for the American people here. It is plunder for corporate interests. And it's done so nakedly without any of the pretense of,
But due to Trump,
we're liberating anything.
Because weren't they were trying to manufacture this by saying narco-terrorism, and repeatedly the Republican line is about drugs, but then Trump goes there and says for the oil.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it was always for the oil.
Of course, but you know, you don't. That is one of the things about Trump that is at least educational.
Speak the subtext.
Yes, is that the educational part is that he will just say things out loud that normally would not be said out loud.
Yeah, no, I mean that's absolutely true. I mean that was actually, longtime Trump watchers will know that was actually his line, going back as far as I can tell, at least to 2013, probably earlier. That the big mistake of the Iraq War was we didn't take the oil. When you're robbing hotel, you got to take like the towels and the accoutrements. Why didn't we take the oil as we were leaving Iraq? What's interesting is that actually, like, Republican public opinion follows Trump, rather than he's like going along with the base on this one, because now all the polling shows that now Republicans think, yes, it's okay to like invade a country to take the oil, and even the sort of sad blocky Matt Taibbi is now saying, yeah, taking oil is good.
Let's watch this because first off, the fact of the matter is, like, and this is a good opportunity. We were gonna play this later, but the idea of like we take the oil, like it's unclear to me what that even means. Like we bring back the oil in these huge vats and we bring them into the center of town and everybody comes in and dips with their ladle and puts it in their pail and takes it home. Like, no, we got the oil from Iraq. If we are, Exxon, BP, whatever it is, but here is Matt Taibbi. And this is like, people may not even be aware of this guy anymore. But this is how far down the rabbit hole people are going to justify the fact that whatever the personal grievance that they had. And Taibbi had a lot of personal grievances with the so-called left or liberal left or whatever it is. And this is what it's left to.
And as for the Iraq oil thing, I was all in favor of, like, if we were there, yeah, let's take it. Like, I don't understand not, I mean, I guess the idea of turning it over to the Iraqi people, but I don't know. I felt a little more mercenary about that. Like,
well, once you're in the realm of warfare, you're in the realm of self-interest, right? And the way we're supposed to do wars now is we invade, destabilize, and destroy whole countries and kill tens of thousands and have tens of thousands killed, as happened in Iraq. But we're too good to take the oil. Well,
okay. Now, first off, I interviewed Matt Taibbi, I don't know, 50 times from the time that we invaded Iraq until probably close to 2017 or 2018. And I never heard him say that. But this is the sort of like, do you think that we are that the reason why the American public did not take the oil is because we felt we were too morally righteous to take that? Or is it that it did not, some of it may have, like, certainly there's some, the Iraqis got some benefit from the oil coming out of their ground. It's not like they're getting the full benefit. There are other people who are profiting.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I have yet to see my oil check. I don't think anyone listening to this program has personally profited from any of these imperial ventures. I mean that is actually one of the sort of illusions created by any sort of like nationalist politics. The idea that the wars pursued by your country are gonna like redound to your own benefit, whether it's a psychic benefit or a financial benefit. I mean, obviously, it's not the case, and this is why, like, up until Trump, like, going back like more than a century, American foreign policy has always been like, let's not talk about the oil. Let's try to like at least have some sort of pretense that we're doing it for some higher purpose. And certainly, like like all the American wars, this is like true not just like of like George W. Bush and the neocons, but like going back to Theodore Roosevelt and McKinley, like they're always like, we have to liberate the people of Cuba and the Philippines. It's our Christian duty. It's the white man's burden. People have normally refrained from saying that they're doing war on behalf of financial interest, because that's like it's a crazy concept. It's a crazy concept. Like in terms of soldiers, like if you're a soldier, like, are you going to die so that ExxonMobil or be wounded or traumatized or have PTSD so that Chevron and Exxon can have like a higher rate of return? Like what is exactly are we saying here? But yeah, I think this is like Trump's one innovation, because in many other ways, what he's doing in Venezuela is like actually in continuity with American foreign policy, going back to the 19th century.
I mean, it's you know, it's much harder to argue that, like, in some way that we're in danger from Venezuela.
Yeah, no,
Like, I mean, like, try to do it sort of like a third order. Like, they're drug and we have ODs, and and it turns out like people are not ODing on Venezuelan drugs in any significant numbers. Maybe there's some in Europe, maybe, but that didn't fly, and so he's just sort of like gave up the pretense.
Yeah, I mean Venezuela as well. Like I as I understand it, like it's not even like fentanyl. Like it is like cocaine, and like we're fighting to prevent Europeans from like doing blow. Like, what is the logic here?
But it's reflected in the polling.
Blow.
It's reflected in the polling. The American public doesn't buy it either, and I think like that's what I mean. That Trump is. We've seen now a theme of Trump doing a maximalist position and then basically kind of cutting it off and walking it back, and the rest of the administration picking up the pieces and trying to craft something coherent from it. Mm-hmm. The tariffs are a part of that too. Even the strikes on the so-called drug boats, but also taking out Maduro here, where I think they were trying to, in his view, send a message to the rest of Latin America that they should play ball. And he wants to have so-called negotiations with guns to the heads of these leaders in Latin America. And that appears to be the policy. So, like, I think part of what you're seeing with the Republican base coming back and supporting it, too, is because Trump is saying or claiming that this is not going to lead to war. We'll see what happens.
No, I think that's right. But I think we should also, I mean, even though we should take Trump at his word that it's about the oil, there's also this element of spectacle. And I mean, like, he and Hegseth have both worried about the fact that the U.S. has not really won like a credible military victory since World War II. And it is sort of about, and there's a lot of anxiety about, manliness and our soldiers are too fat. So I actually think that a lot
What
of
about Grenada, though?
Yeah. No, we showed them.
Yeah, I mean,
in some ways, I mean, it is a little bit like Grenada or the Panama in 1990. It is a kind of imperial show of force. I think that the other innovative aspect, although again, you can see this in Reagan as well, is a sort of privatization. The oil funds are not actually going into the U.S. Treasury. The Trump administration is deciding which banks to keep the funds in. And I think that there is a way in which, like, Trump is sort of like, the fruits of Iran-Contra, or the fruits of the fact that Iran-Contra was never fully punished. So there's a kind of like covert privatization going on. As well, I mean, the narco-terrorism is a way of trying to repurpose the existing, war on terror and war on drugs rhetoric to give a new ideological rationale. But in a lot of other ways, I mean, this is sort of like an empire in retreat, because if you look at like Trump's larger national security, it is like, we're going to kind of like let Russia have its way in Europe. And also that, more interestingly, they've sort of decided they don't actually want a Cold War with China and are, pursuing a policy of maybe giving China more legroom in Asia. And so, like, America's compensation then is, well, we get the Western Hemisphere. But I mean, like, the U.S. has always had the Western Hemisphere. Like, there's never been a credible military threat to America, on this part of the world.
I mean, what is it like? That's the sort of, I mean, but it does feel like there is this sort of retreat to Fortress America, which, there are some parts of, like, I like the idea that we're not necessarily
going to war with China.
We're not going to go to war, we're not going to go to war with China. Although I'm not convinced that the idea of, like, we're going to carve up the world into 3 neighborhoods and, like, that doesn't ultimately lead. It's just sort of like redirecting where the imperialism is going, as opposed to sort of like forging an idea of here, the world can work to the benefit of everyone if we cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is a larger threat, and you don't actually see any of the Democrats talking about this. But I mean, the real problem is, like, if humanity's going to survive in the 21st century, and I have kids and you have kids, we want, the species to survive. You're actually going to need more international cooperation because you're going to see like more pandemics. You're going to see like climate change. You're going to have a world where countries can work with each other. So this whole idea of like, dividing the world into like these big chunks, like undermines any possibility of international cooperation, especially since the U.S. will be the most, along with Russia, will be the most retrogressive, pursuing fossil fuel capitalism until the cows come home. So I think that's a major problem. The other thing is, I will say, we've actually worked this experiment before. We've actually seen what happens when you divide the world into imperial blocks. And do these empires like respect each other's boundaries, or do they actually?
Well, that's the thing, right?
Actually, a little bit of the history of the 19th and early 20th century is very educational on this point of view.
We should also say, incidentally, just as a side note, there's probably a decent argument that more people die from Venezuelan oil being burned on an annual basis than drugs. But putting that aside. The point of let's talk about that danger and the lessons that the early 20th century in particular showed us about like these empires that you can create. You can live in this bubble for an extended period of time until all of a sudden there are certain resources you need that you find are not necessarily we have access to, and then all of a sudden all you've been doing is, for risk players, you've been building up these huge armies on Kamchatka, and then all of a sudden you want to start to move. And that's when you have no sort of like fundamental relationships and interdependencies that keep you from just trying to see, can I forcibly take this stuff?
No, absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, Trump's point of view is essentially sort of 18th and 19th century one of a sort of mercantilism, and everything sort of ties together, both the tariffs and the interest in territorial conquest. Like, he doesn't believe that trade enriches, but actually that control of resources is where wealth is, and so you use tariffs to build these fortress protective blocks. But the critique of mercantilism was not just an economic critique that this is not the way to maximize wealth. It was also a critique of foreign policy. Adam Smith basically argued that the reason why the European countries were constantly fighting imperial wars in the 18th century was because they were mercantilists. They wouldn't trade, so when they needed resources, they had to fight over territory. And that is a big problem. Not to break Goodwin's law, but with Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, and Mussolini's Italy, what you basically saw is these countries wanted to be self-sufficient, not trade, but they also needed resources, and that was the sort of fuel of their militarism.
But compare that to China. But compare that to China, that has done so much work with state capacity to onshore things, and then their relationships with the rest of the world are largely soft power, and they focus a lot on Africa. And a lot of people that are thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead in some of these resource wars are looking at Africa there. I'm not saying that this is like a benevolent relationship with China, but it's a strategic one that perhaps the United States, if there was a progressive leadership, would have gone down that road. But we're just building a fortress that's based on old energy technology and cutting ourselves off from the rest of the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an interesting question as to what road China will go down, because I think you see both aspects. They are pursuing sort of soft power quite successfully, but there's also some belligerence in its relationship with some of its Asian neighbors. But but the long-term recipe for the planet, with this formula, is that you're gonna have a century of war. And our species can't afford that. We don't actually have the luxury of resource wars in the coming centuries. Like if we want our humanity to survive.
And the other, I would think, just even from a practical perspective, the difference between trying to maintain an empire, if you will, or a sphere of influence from, in today, in the 2020s versus the 1920s, is that we can't necessarily extract what we want from Venezuela in the way that we could have from, whatever it was, Honduras in the, the 19th century or the 20th century, or it's, anywhere in Latin America or South America for because there's so many weapons and so many different sort of like funding mechanisms that there are different constituencies in just even like in the country like Venezuela that might just say like, you know what, we're going to take advantage of a sense of nationalism in this country as well. And this is the way that we're going to wage these, internal wars.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that's exactly why they, pursued this sort of Venezuelan adventure with basically making a deal with the regime. Because like if people who know military stuff better than I do basically say it would actually be very easy for guerrilla groups in Venezuela to make it very difficult for anyone to get the oil. And the other aspect I would mention, which is and in this sense, I think Trump's ideology is more powerful than even like self-interest. Like the oil companies themselves, would have actually just preferred, let's just make a deal with Maduro. Let's just make a deal with the regime. Because for precisely the reason that Sam mentioned, that they can actually make things very difficult for us. So Trump wants that imperial display. He wants. I do actually think that this is almost like a sort of masculinity in decline is as important as the profit motive. Trump wants to both show he's a successful businessman. He's going to get a lot of wealth from this, but also there's a lot of worry that the U.S. needs to kick ass somewhere in the world because otherwise things aren't looking that great. And it's not an accident. It's coming out of on the heels of the defeats in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Let's talk about, you wrote a piece earlier this week about European cowardice in light of this. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday or sometime, maybe last night, Russia had a huge assault on Ukraine with hundreds of drones and also using a ballistic missile that is nuclear capable. There was no nukes on this in this missile, but it's basically a way of saying we can do this.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of what we decide to put into the the cap of this thing. What's your take on this? I mean, because there have been reporting that the Russians have offered Trump in his first term the idea of you guys get Venezuela, you can have all the resources in the Western Hemisphere, and just stay out. We stay out of your backyard, you stay out of ours. You give us Ukraine, and no interference. And there's been a couple of different reporting of sources where that was floated. Is this is it a coincidence that they're doing this now?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a coincidence. But I mean, I think that, the larger structural issue is that the Europeans are very dependent on America as their protector, and Trump has decided, going back to 2015, that he's going to run NATO as a protection racket. And Trump's relationship with Russia, I think, is in some ways similar to a sort of one mafia family's relationship with another. That on one level you're kind of rivals, but actually you support each other, because if you're selling protection, it actually helps you that there are these other gang of thugs that they are threatening people. And Trump's message to the Europeans has always been, nice continent you have here. It'd be a shame if my friend Vladimir did something to it. And I mean, to me, the distressing thing, and I say this also as a Canadian, because this is a factor here as well. is that this is pretty obvious going back to 2015. And one thing I sort of got wrong was in 2015, I was writing that I think that like the rise of Trump will lead Europe to realize that they have to take their security into their own hands, and you're going to see sort of EU become not just an economic relationship, but like a sort of political military one. And there's sort of steps in that direction, but it's been very slow. I think there's a lot of path dependency on relying on NATO, and that just kind of like seems a mistake. Like I actually don't think if we're heading in this world of these sort of gangster empires, that poses a real problem. And one sees this, like the way the Europeans are responding to Venezuela. Like the Keir Starmer, Keir Starmer, like he was like, it was asked, is this a war crime? And he says, well, we'll investigate eventually. We believe in international law. Like refusing to say anything. It's a very difficult and but a position they're in. But I actually like blame themselves. Like I think that they have not seriously thought about their security, and that has put them at the mercy not just of Putin but of Trump, because Putin and Trump work together on this.
As problematic as the United Nations is, and as sort of, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know if you could say that like international law is sort of like a Pyrrhic win on some level, but it's a lot of like, a lot of people had to sort of like agree, we're just going to buy into this to some extent. And it was abused over and over again.
Yeah.
But even the sort of like, the sort of like very weak internal structure of international law, I think we're going to miss that.
Yeah, no, we're absolutely going to miss that. And I think like one of the big mistakes that the Europeans made and Canada made is like not trying to like strengthen it and defend it, against the Biden administration when they were going after the international courts. I mean, like Gaza, if you're thinking about the middle powers, like the European countries, I think the Latin American countries and the Asian countries, I think like the strongest card that they can play is to try to like be the upholders of international law in defiance of the United States. There's so right now in Europe, I mean, the big thing is like Greenland. Like they're actually like really trying to think through like, should we help the Danes defend Greenland, or are we gonna like maybe sacrifice Greenland to keep Trump on board? But I mean, like, why keep Trump on board if he's just gonna? This is just like kissing the ring of the Godfather. Like, and I don't think that that's something that like works in your interest in the long run.
And it's those countries who have the most to lose, because the sort of those who are like more impoverished and have less power, they're getting screwed always. Regardless of sort of like the world order. It's those sort of middle countries who are going to get who needed to uphold this stuff the most, because they have the most to lose in these type of environments.
Yeah. So I mean, like, to me, like, as a Canadian, like, I think about this like stuff a lot. Like, we actually like need to think of our foreign policy apart from the United States. President Emmanuel Macron. I know France has nuclear weapons, nuclear submarines. If you want to include Canada in your nuclear umbrella, maybe we can make some sort of deal.
Right.
But I mean, the other aspect of all this is I actually do think one thing you're going to go seeing going forward is a lot more nuclear proliferation. Like, I actually think, like, in this realm of gangster empires, like unless you have nukes, you're not going to be able to sit at the table.
Yeah, I mean, I my alternate theory to what you're saying, I would say, is also just that like Trump's unilateral actions in the sphere of foreign policy don't always match up with, like, say, the budget that Congress has allocated. I mean, you still have a Republican Party that, despite kind of following Trump's rhetoric in 2024 about Ukraine, votes to send weapons to them all the time because, like, even though, of course, Russia is the aggressor here, the weapons manufacturers in this country love this relationship. So like I wonder
Yeah,
if
no.
a European drawdown, like I wonder if European leaders are basically trying to wait out the storm of
Yeah.
his public thrashing about, which seems to have been fruitful in other areas, and like understanding he doesn't have the stamina or character to see through any kind of vision that he supposedly adheres to.
Yeah, no, I think that is the sort of gamble that like after that you can wait out Trump and you'll get either he'll get tired or you'll get a different administration. I just don't think that like in the long run, I don't know, like whether it's Trump, in America there's a two-party system. You're gonna get someone like
Yes.
Trump. I think this is where the kind of wind is blowing. Yeah, no, I that is the sort of like logic that they're working from.
In the long run, I think your analysis is absolutely on point. Like even we saw it early on in the Biden era, a recognition that markets and like our international trade that presents national security like issues to not have like, I mean, now we're back to kind of onshoring certain things, but like there's this desire to kind of reject certain kind of globalization of things that I think is reflective in foreign policy, but also in trade and things like that. That Biden responded to as well with the Inflation Reduction Act and some of the infrastructure here too. So,
yeah.
Let's turn to the other horror show that is happening more domestically, I guess.
Yeah.
And
although I would want to emphasize, I think actually, what's happening now with ICE, like that is also a part of all the same the program. This is like sort of imperial blowback. I don't think it's an accident that the ICE agent that shot and killed Good, was a former
Iraq vet.
Iraq.
Yep, Iraq vet, and certainly the sort of the way in which seeing fully paramilitaried, totally geared up paramilitary in the streets is a function of what we saw in the wake of the Iraq invasion in Afghanistan, where old military equipment was basically given to police departments. And suddenly by 2006, we had, up armored vehicles riding through our streets.
I mean, DHS is a war on terror creation.
Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like in some ways, what they're trying to do is to turn Minneapolis into Fallujah, or into Gaza. I think the sort of continuities between international policy and domestic are very strong. I think Stephen Miller is perhaps a good example of this. He's sort of coming out of David Horowitz and that whole sort of wing of the Republican Party, which is strongly for the war in Iraq and in Afghanistan, but also has a very militarized view. As in an interview with that CNN, Miller said something to the effect, well, this is the real world. This is where the strong rule, and that is the sort of world of force that they're trying to impose both domestically and in the Western Hemisphere.
So the Trump administration sent another 100 ICE agents to Minneapolis as a way, I think, of showing like we're not backing down. We're going full force on this. A day after a woman is shot in the face, killed by a La Migra, I guess, in Minneapolis. 2 people are shot in Portland, also indicative of there was clearly no message like, hey guys, let's back off for a day or two and let the heat draw down. They're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
How
they don't have any sort of strategy of de-escalation. Like it is always. I mean, I think that is one thing that characterizes the whole administration. It's always escalate.
Yep.
So play this out for us here, Jeet. We have we have polling. Emma read it off at the top of the show that shows people are very displeased, more in favor of abolish ICE than they were even the sort of like the first time it became popular.
Can I just, I mean, that's a 21% increase in a year. Just on election day, only 21% of Americans civics poll supported abolishing ICE. Now 42% support abolishing ICE entirely. 50% oppose it. But that's, I mean, obviously more fluid, and that's absent any national leadership Democratic messaging that would be pushing this matter.
But we need more than that. Like that may be helpful in the midterms, assuming that we have midterms, or that the midterms, reflect the way that people intend or actually did vote. But like we're at a sort of an inflection point where more people have to come out, like these authoritarian regimes, right? And we're about as, like, I don't know when you cross the threshold into an authoritarian regime, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's one of those things where, it's a data type of thing. It really also has to do with the sort of the mentality of people. The value to them of shooting that woman dead is that's in the back of the minds of people who may, in some way, get into an argument with ICE next time.
And your race isn't going to protect you in this instance.
And like,
too.
and so, on one hand, it increases the amount of negative opinion towards ICE, but on the other hand, it enhances their abilities in some ways, because it will create fear in other people. It will create fear as to, like, am I going to go out there and challenge ICE in the same way that I may have thought about 5 days ago?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the broader dynamic is that, like, it's not just like the national polling. Like within the places where they're sending ICE is like very unpopular, right? Like these big urban centers. And I think like one of the dynamics here is that they actually have met a lot of resistance. That there has been a lot of like kind of pushback, and ICE is like constantly.
They failed in Charlotte big time. I mean, in Charlotte, they got kicked out of there, like, having done maybe a quarter of what their quota was.
Yeah. No, exactly. And in fact, I mean, I think even the earlier decision to like, follow the courts on the National Guard is sort of part of this. So I actually think, but I mean, we know this from like many places in the world throughout history, once you get like government agents shooting civilians, that actually does not tap down on protests. Like that actually, is traditionally the way in which protests kind of like spread. You just look at the American Revolution, like when the British soldiers started to kill Americans on the street. I actually think that the more likely maybe the intention is to strike fear. The intention is to push back against this wave of actual resistance that they've been meeting. I don't actually think that's going to be the impact. Some people will be scared. Some people will stay home, but I actually, suspect that a lot more people are going to be coming out there, and then it becomes an issue, like it's playing out on the streets. And I think the real danger or the real question here is like, where are the Democrats?
Well, I was just going to ask that. Like, does it matter? Like, I mean, like, Chuck Schumer is adamant that there's not going to be a government shutdown. Chris Murphy has sort of like introduced now this idea of DHS reform as contingent upon it, which is over the course of whatever it is, 2 years, Chris Murphy has basically just exactly followed public sentiment in this regard. I mean, it's a total turnaround. Great. I don't care how sincere it is.
He's running for president.
As long as
he's gonna be running for president. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that somebody run for president on the Democratic side thinks that this is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But like, how important is it that the Democrats basically signal to the American public, we're not going to fund this. Like, we're just not going to fund it.
I think it's actually like really important because I think there's two structures that that are upholding this sort of authoritarianism. One is like, the sort of fascist movement of MAGA that wants to oppose it, and the other is the fact that the Democrats have not really done anything to push back on it, and there's never been like going back to the crimes that the Bush administration did and Trump did in his first term. There's been like a real reluctance to punish the higher up leaders. I'm not talking about the January 6th like crowd, like the higher up people. I think like if the Democrats made clear that like there's going to be a political price to pay, like for this, like the Trump is like they're currently like covering up the murder that happened in Minneapolis. They're not allowing an investigation. But like if it's actually very essential, like to actually get any sort of change, that the Democrats make quite clear, like like there will be a price to pay, and that we're not going to have a situation where people that have been involved with murder and torture get to like go home. I think that is the crucial part of the political equation that we have not seen yet. We're seeing signs of it, as you mentioned with Murphy, but that has to be there. Like that's the only off ramp from this, like like really from the death of American democracy.
But you can also do that by, I don't know, changing up the news cycle and calling for a vote on a change of leader in the Senate. Like, I know that they're in the midst of these negotiations, but I mean, this is a way to show responsiveness if Democrats choose to do it. I understand that there's this coalition building. They call themselves the Fight Club, unfortunately, in the Senate, but it is the best senators that we have.
If it ends like Fight Club, I'll be more interested.
Bernie, Warren, Van Hollen, and I think Murphy's a part of that, right? As well. They've got to take this fight public. The fact that they are so afraid of broadcasting internal disagreement is a part of the problem here, because if you show that the fight is happening, you get the base on board to excommunicate essentially the people who aren't on board with the fight. And so I'm not sure really what they're waiting for, because Schumer's as weak as he could possibly be right now.
I mean, like things do seem to be coming to a boiling point where you have like both a gangster empire abroad, like blowing up these ships, doing kidnapping, boasting that they're doing this for the oil, and also a gangster empire at home, murdering American citizens, and then you put over Chuck Schumer as your public face, and Hakeem Jeffries, who are like the most reluctant members of your party to actually say anything meaningful. I don't see how that's really a tenable situation at all. And I think I mean, that is the weakest link. That is what is holding back the necessary creation of a political coalition, because there is a certain chunk of the population that does actually attend to leaders in the party. They're Democrats who, like, if you had a leader that was saying like these are war crimes and they have to stop, they would shift on that, or is saying like we have to abolish ICE. We'll shift on that, and you can go from 42% to like 55%, 60%.
And let's be clear, in 11 months, essentially, the Trump regime was able to accomplish about half of what they had in Project 2025.
Yeah.
They have the funding now in terms of ICE. They have set the precedent of their ability to avoid appropriating funds or expending funds that have been appropriated. The idea that in 11 months from now, things are still going to be sort of containable. I mean, that's their bet, right? That's Schumer and Jeffries' bet, is that, well, there's going to be Strum and Drang, and but come November 7th, people are going to vote out those Republicans, and it's all going to be fine. I'm sure, Trump will try and do some dastardly things, but the elections will go off without a hitch, and Mike Johnson will seat those new members, and everything will be fine. I mean, they're betting. This is like, this is the stuff that you look back in history books and go, this is where they made their mistake. You had a leadership that was, just believing that the ship feels like it's going to hold together. I think we're going to be fine. There's big waves, but it'll be fine. Meanwhile, like they're just headed into this like massive storm and have no clue whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chuck Schumer, I saw an interview with him like just like a week ago. He was talking about how like he's talking to a lot of Republicans who are privately very concerned about what Trump is doing. It's like, they won't say anything publicly, but they have in the Senate gym, there's a lot of anxiety, and it's like what sort of politics is this? Like, is that the politics? Like, is that meaningful in any way?
And how many times do they need to say that? And not do anything for you to realize like this time's not going to be different. Yeah. It's stunning. But Jeet Heer, I imagine we'll have this conversation many more times this year. Hopefully we will finish them on a more positive and hopeful perspective. But people have got to push the Democrats. I think there's a lot of other things they got to do too.
I mean, if you want an optimistic note to end on, I mean, actually, like if you look at like what normie average Democrats are right now, like they're far more radical than they were in 2018 and even 2020. Like I actually think like it's a real question of like at what point does a party start to listen to its base, or at what point does the base like try to overthrow the leadership of the party? But like I actually do think there's a lot of potential there.
Yep.
From your mouth, Jeet Heer, national affairs correspondent at The Nation, and also the proprietor of the YouTube channel Cultural Logic. And we will put a link to both in the podcast and YouTube description. Jeet Heer, thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for. It's always a great pleasure to be on this program.
Thanks, Jeet.
Thanks, Jeet.
Freebie Friday? Should we do a Freebie Friday?
Sure.
First one of the year? First freebie? Yeah, look at Brian says. Brian says, why
That's
not?
the drug dealer code, right? First one's free.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you know that?
I'm very invested in this Maduro case.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Deep undercover.
All right, we're going to take a slight break, though, just so that people can gather themselves, and then we'll be back. But just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member. Join the majorityreport.com. Join the majorityreport.com. Today's a freebie Friday. But if you want the membership free of commercials, join the majorityreport.com. Also, justcoffee.coop. Fair trade coffee. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off of one of their blends or the Majority Report blend. Matt, what's happening on in the Matt Leck podcast universe?
Yeah, new Jacobin show this morning. Went up with Ryan Grimm of Dropsite talking about. We were going to talk about Venezuela, and then a mother got assassinated in Minneapolis. So we talked about that as well, and talked about Zoran. So check that out. That was up this morning.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the fun half, Freebie Friday. Jordy PhD said, no fun half song for Freebie Friday. These guys, they freaked out when I said Freebie Friday, but let's take a break. It's like...
It's a fun half song. I mean, we didn't go to the fun half.
We go into the fun half.
We don't have a
it's just a
Freebie Friday
freebie.
song.
But you said quick break, which made me think it was something different.
Yeah, no, it was unclear direction from
People
the top.
freaked out here.
Turns out it was your fault, Sam.
Yeah, it's always Sam's fault. It's Sam's fault.
It's weird though when people point to the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
You wanted to see this Brian Andrews, conservative.
It's my job to send the blame back down the line.
What is it? Shit rolls downhill or flows downhill?
I
don't think this is on the sheet.
Let's.
This is this country singer Brian Andrews.
Oh yeah, let's check this out. This is awesome. I'm not familiar with country music that much. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not familiar with any music that very much.
I'm so unfamiliar with country music, though. I really know nothing.
I mean,
I know that there's that racist kid that, whatever, the SNL guy, he's big.
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, that's probably the only name I could. The guy that's good is Chris Stapleton, and those are probably the two names I can mention.
Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah,
I have to say,
yeah, actually.
my knowledge of country music is like my knowledge of just about every other music. Dwight Yoakam, is he still popular?
I like Garth Brooks.
I saw Dwight Yoakam last year. He's popular with me.
Yeah, okay, so Dwight Yoakam, like that was like that.
Alan Jackson.
Hank Williams. I mean, like
It's been a minute.
it's been a minute for
90s country music.
But Yoakam
Williams was 50s.
was Hank Williams was 50s.
I mean, Johnny Cash counts, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was huge Johnny
Yeah,
Cash.
yeah.
The crossover, though.
Yeah.
But Dwight Yoakam was like the 80s and 90s, like early 90s crossover country guy.
Exactly.
All I know is like the worst people I went to high school with, even though in New Jersey, like to dress up in outfits and go to see country music, and it's just a huge.
It's funny to see
turn
people
off.
in coastal areas
Yeah.
adopt that style in the last like 5 years, maybe.
Yep,
There's always some of that, but
they're all white, obviously.
but Brian Andrews apparently a pretty big country music star, and here he is on a TikTok message.
Oh, yeah, you already knew this one was coming. You know, people always come on here and be like, Brian, why are you always yelling in these videos? It's not that serious. You want to know why I'm yelling? I'll tell you why the fuck I'm yelling. I'm yelling because I just watched a federal fucking agent shoot a woman in the fucking face in broad daylight with fucking witnesses. You don't do that unless you already knew you were going to get away with it. And you want to tell me it's not that serious? How many times are we going to walk past the bodies like if we don't look, they're not there? Listen to me. Donald Trump said once, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose any voters. Okay? That is a direct fucking quote. And you know what? He just indirectly proved it to be fucking true. I am begging you to wake up at this point. You saw the same video I did. And I need you to know that you are not a bad person if this is where you draw the line. I mean, for fuck's sake, man. People tell me all the time, why don't you just keep politics out of your music? Okay, what would you rather me do? Come on the internet like I didn't just see with my own two fucking eyes what I saw yesterday and be like, hey guys, here's my new breakup song? Yeah, I'll take fuck that for 500, Alex. I got a better fucking idea. I see the fucking comments. I see the videos they make. I hear what even some people in my hometown say about me. Oh, that dude only makes these videos to sell his music. Bullshit. I make this music to sell this message, and that message is this. I'm gonna shove this song so far down your throat you're gonna have to drop your pants and take a shit just to get it out of your system.
All right.
I'm gonna make so many fucking videos to this song that the guitars in this bitch make you feel the fucking rage that we felt when we wrote this motherfucker. I'm gonna make you hear this tagline so goddamn much that by the time I release it, even Jimmy fucking Kimmel's tired of hearing it, because maybe then, just fucking maybe then, even you might stop to ask yourself.
I mean, righteous.
Yep.
That rocked.
I love the idea of I'm not doing this to sell music. I'm selling music to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If only there was a lot more people with that their head and their shoulders so straight.
Let's talk. Let's get to Chuck Schumer. I mean, Chuck Schumer is in. Understand what mode he's in right now. Chuck Schumer is in his classic mode, which is, I want there to be enough problems with Trump, but not so much that it actually comes to me. This is Chuck Schumer's biggest. Exactly. This is like Chuck Schumer's like Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is like the guy or the kid who's playing baseball and is sitting out in the field, and he is just sitting there going, please don't hit the ball to me. Please
Yes.
don't hit the ball to me. Please don't hit the ball to me. Please don't hit the ball to me. That's what Chuck Schumer is doing. And the problem is that like, you're the only person in the field. Like
Leader.
if the ball's hit, you've got to deal with it. And he so desperately, like Chuck Schumer went to bed every night for the past 5-6 weeks saying, please let there be no controversy until we get to this government shutdown vote. Please let there be no controversy until we get there. I don't want to be forced to actually exercise any of the leverage we have.
Yep.
Now, the House just passed an appropriations bill. Instead of doing it like in one big reconciliation thing, because they want to avoid that, they passed partial appropriations for like, I think it was like the EPA, Interior, a couple of other agencies. More or less, there's definitely some cuts, but more or less, the equivalent of a continuing resolution
rejecting Trump's calls for more steep cuts.
But there still remains all the tricky things where the Democrats might have some disagreement with the Republicans.
Particularly DHS. DHS is not in this, is not Department of Homeland Security, aka ICE, obviously, not in this agreement.
And so you have the president of the United States just essentially, kidnapping another leader of a different country so that we could move the oil executives in and get their resources, which of course I think Schumer was like, well, it's not the way I would do it, but we have now DHS shooting people dead. You have one tool at your disposal to actually do anything. And that is, we're going to cut the funding.
Yep.
Remember, DHS is getting hundreds of billions of dollars. They are going to be the wealthiest police force in the world.
ICE is the largest law enforcement agency by budget in the world, including in the United States.
They're bigger than some militaries. And he has the opportunity. And what does he do? We have now seen this video over and over again, right? And there's a contention. On one hand, the Trump administration has told a total pack of lies based upon video that we can see. And on the other hand, Chuck Schumer says...
Senator Schumer, do you have any comment on the shooting in Minnesota, the ICE-involved shooting?
Well, I saw the video. It just turns your stomach. We need a quick and full investigation to get to the bottom of this. But when you have these ICE agents all over the streets of our cities without any cooperation with local law enforcement, local communities, tragedies, horrible tragedies, killings occur.
Wait. We need to get to the bottom of this? Where's the mystery? What's the mystery here? What is the mystery that we need to get to the bottom of? And what is he talking about?
Tragedies
when
happen.
You don't have cooperation. So wait, he has a problem with New York City being a sanctuary city? Like what is the law? Is this a problem of a lack of cooperation?
Wow.
From Minneapolis PD? If they had cooperated, what? Like, what the hell is he saying? Is he not aware that there is a paramilitary, 2,100 paramilitary fighters have been dropped into Minneapolis, a city of 450,000 people who are masked and seemingly have no accountability to anyone. And the problem is there's a lack of cooperation from what?
Can we play it again, actually? I'm sorry. I just want to get the passive language down here.
Senator Schumer, do you have any comment on the shooting in Minnesota, the ICE-involved shooting?
Well, I saw the video. It just turns your stomach. We need a quick and full investigation to get to the bottom of this. But when you have these ICE agents all over the streets of our cities without any cooperation with local law enforcement, local communities, tragedies, horrible tragedies, killings occur.
You know what? It's not a coincidence that he sounds exactly like some sort of Israeli official describing a child being killed in the West Bank or something like that.
It took no time for this to come back to us. I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates put this up, Brian. Ta-Nehisi Coates' statement at the start of this. We are at a moment right now where people are asking themselves, why can't the Democratic Party defend against this assault on democracy? And I would submit that if you can't draw the line at genocide, you probably can't draw the line at democracy. You can't.
You can't.
And Chuck Schumer will never be able to.
And I mean, that's unbelievable. Lack of cooperation with local law enforcement. He's basically criticizing the city of Minneapolis and leadership there as well for essentially saying that cops should be more coordinating with ICE. That's the problem here, not the fact that they are functionally, as AOC said, we played this in the fun half yesterday. They are a paramilitary force, to your point, that is an anti-civilian force at this point. They shouldn't be cooperating with local law enforcement. Schumer should be empowering, through his rhetoric, local law enforcement to go after
Arrest
ICE.
them now.
Arrest them. His messaging, I mean, like, and I just want to emphasize this point in case people are just watching this clip and didn't see our interview with Jeet Heer. Elizabeth Warren is standing right next to him. She's a part of that so-called fight club that's in the Democratic Party right now in the Senate that supposedly is building up an alternative vision of leadership for the Democrats. The time is now. The time is now to call for his ouster. I know they're probably still building up the power that they need. They're still trying to get other senators on board. But my God, Republicans make a spectacle about their internal disagreement, and it has affected them nada electorally. Nothing. In fact,
It looks like democracy.
In fact, it looks like democracy. It's a performance of it. You get yourself in the news cycle, Trump sparring with other Republicans. They've rode that to success. Air this disagreement out publicly because it looks like you're responding to the overwhelming base that wants you to rein in these lawless thugs. The numbers on this are staggering. An over 20-point increase in abolishing ICE in less than a year. And that's what the leader of the Democrats saying. The problem is that local law enforcement isn't collaborating with ICE. So change the news cycle and show that you'll be an opposition party. Call for his ouster. I'm sorry if it's awkward in the meetings. I'm sorry if it's not the right time because we still have the partial budget negotiations over the appropriations. Actually, it might be the best time.
Well, that's the thing, is he wants to ignore the existence of what is happening because he has the ability to wage a fight to prevent the funding of DHS. I mean,
Yes.
he has the ability to do this, and he doesn't want it. He is running away from any leverage he has deliberately. And so, you know, we've got to be measured about this. We've got to be they have literally, understand, they did not shoot this person because they thought this person was a criminal, undocumented immigrant. They did not shoot this person because they thought this person was an undocumented immigrant. They did not shoot this person. They shot this person because they saw this person as a citizen who was pushing back against what they were doing.
Yep.
That means that, and they can take these steps. They've killed undocumented immigrants in their facilities.
Yeah.
We know that. They are just moving down the line. Anybody who gets in their way is going to face either being just scooped up, detained, shot, beaten, whatever it is. This is going on, and he is trying to hide from it. Does he have a problem with, here's Philadelphia DA Larry Krasner. Now, if Chuck Schumer says the problem is not enough cooperation from local law enforcement, does he have a problem with Krasner saying here?
If any law enforcement agent, any ICE agent, is going to come to Philly to commit crimes, then you can get the F out of here. Because if you do that here, I will charge you with those crimes. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted, whether it's in state or federal court. It's my office prosecuting it. That's how the law works. And you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction. Do you hear me, ICE agents? Do you hear me, National Guard? Do you hear me, military? You're going to jail if you commit crimes in the city of Philadelphia. You will be accountable. The law applies to all of you. And I know that there are honest, decent, moral law enforcement officers out there by the bushel, including in ICE. This is not for you. This is for any one of your colleagues who thinks they are above the law.
Understand that what that does,
Yep.
in the same way that these ICE thugs shooting a defenseless woman in the face puts a chill and scares other protesters, or is meant to scare other protesters. What that does is say, there's accountability here that none of your bosses can save you from. Now, Chuck Schumer has the opportunity to say this type of thing too. Yep. If Chuck Schumer thinks in his mind that, well, we're going to take the House, maybe we'll take the Senate in the fall, you then have the ability, even putting aside his ability to shove a wrench in the gears of appropriations and money going to fund this. He has the ability to say, think twice. Because the day after we get sworn into office, we're going to haul your bosses up and we'll haul individual agents in front of Congress.
Yeah.
And we will pass laws and we will hold you accountable. And it may take 3 years from now, maybe it'll take 6 months, a year from now, but you will go to jail. There will be no forgiveness. There will be no forgetting here.
But the focus on the midterms, it's hard for me to know if it's an idea, if you're working backwards from your ideological predispositions to say that the midterms are the thing that you're focused on, or if you're genuinely convinced that standing up for your neighbors and immigrant communities is going to impact the midterms. Either way, the focus is so wrong, outdated, and has led us to this moment of fascism. When I had that debate on MSNBC with Catherine Rampell and the other guest that was like a centrist Republican or centrist Democrat or something like that, they were saying like, well, you have to focus on winning. How can you win in West Virginia without a Joe Manchin? Would you rather have a Republican in that seat? And my answer was that, well, if the Democrats had a different focus and it was more about delivering as opposed to winning winning and governing like the way Zoran's doing it, winning, not just winning elections, hoping the ball isn't hit to us so that we can just white knuckle it until the midterms in 2026, then perhaps we wouldn't have this back and forth. We could have like actual sustained control over Congress and actually wield power. But what I really do think is that at this point, it really is ideological for Schumer.
He's a passive income politics. He just wants to benefit passively from all this stuff.
When it just really hit me when you see Zoran Mamdani go out on CNN and MSNBC and explain to people what sanctuary city policies are. For so long, it's been used as you hear it exclusively on the right, where they talk about it as like liberals being soft on crime in cities and all of that. We could have had a pushback Democratic national messaging campaign that would have empowered attorneys general and mayors across the country to make sure that the worst of this stuff was curbed a little bit. Because there have been no national Democrats that have explained that sanctuary city laws are legally binding. It's about protecting citizens.
Common sense.
And local officials standing up and saying, if you don't have a legal judicial warrant signed by a judge, you don't get to enter this space. And that's on the books. Why couldn't we have had national Democrats saying this? Why? Because Chuck Schumer doesn't believe in those sanctuary city laws. He just said it right there.
He's a collaborator.
He just said that he doesn't believe that there needs to be more collaboration with ICE. That's his problem with it. So that's essentially saying, like, you don't want to protect people. And that's part of the problem here. I mean,
almost the whole problem.
It's the whole problem.
And it should have been dealt with years ago. And the go back to 2016, people are like, oh, Chuck Schumer's going against Obama on the Iran deal. Is that going to hurt his political future? No, it cemented it. And Democrats need to address why that happened.
Yeah.
Roger from Ohio. I think Chuck Schumer is secretly a Republican. Bavarian fish tacos. Don't know if you saw body cam footage from the Minneapolis ICE agent who summarily executed poor Renee Good somehow and totally unexpectedly showed up on an alt-right neo-Nazi website and is now circulating on the larger internet. Feel free to verify, but it's popped up in my socials twice now. Cole from Little Rock. If the guy who murdered a girl on camera has no accountability, as I can already see will be the case, you can believe that we'll be seeing more free use of deadly force. The guy threatening them with actual consequences is the only thing that will dissuade ICE agents at this point.
And you need to hear more from like Jacob Fry, like saying the F word, get the fuck out of ICE. You need to follow it up with, we are going to use political authority in our office to prosecute you.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not so saying F you is not as effective as
a jail.
Very politely saying you're going to face trial and you're going to go to jail and we will arrest you, sir.
Yeah, that was annoying. Oh, there was another thing. Shoot.
Let's look at some of what's going on with the Minneapolis protests. It's number 5. It's a DHS cop. They don't really care. It looks like it's at like I don't know what this facility is. It almost looks like I guess it's at some type of federal building, but
Either a federal building or a staging site, something like that.
Really, you fucking punk? That's what you're gonna fucking do?
What?
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 What? Do you know what
Back
the fuck
up.
is that is for?
Back up.
What is that for?
Back up.
What is that for?
Back up.
What is that for?
Back up.
You're gonna push me? What is that for?
Back up.
What was that
I don't
for?
give a fuck.
You don't give a fuck about
Back
her?
up. Bro.
This is why we're here.
Back up.
This is why we're here.
these
Really?
guys, there's obviously like vigils.
There's a mural for Renee.
He's
Big
kicking
tough
the-
guy. Big.
I mean, just look at him.
tough
He
guy.
kicks
I'm
like
sorry.
a toddler.
I know.
He looks like a big giant baby.
Yeah,
Look at him,
he
look at
looks
him.
like he's failing at hopscotch on the ground.
Look at this guy. He just learned how to walk.
Center of gravity's a little off.
Not quite potty trained yet.
Let's do number 6. This is protesters. Another these guys feel like they have impunity. I mean, first of all, like just even put the still up and look at like the way these guys are dressed. They are in full military gear. They all have like what now look like government issued masks. They have canisters. I mean, these people are like they would be no different if they were sent into a war zone with people with weapons firing at them. And watch what they do here. Shoots him point blank in the face with a huge
Arrest that guy.
I just like
Control their actions.
I mean, can you imagine the fear that guy must have had in that split second, not knowing what that munition was? I mean, just seeing that guy's face, I just am like, oh my God. I mean, he could have thought in that split second, I'm about to die.
Arrest these people. And if that causes a constitutional crisis with the government, it's time to have the crisis now.
This video, I've seen this video in two different ways. This video was taken of an Uber driver who was stopped and harassed at the Minneapolis airport. Bovino is there. I've seen the actual Uber driver's video as well. This guy is he's
awesome.
great. This is was shot, I believe, by Freedom News .tv. I don't know. Maybe we should find the other angle because I don't know.
No, this is a good angle.
Okay.
I watched this. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is on. We're taking this from X, where it was posted.
Working. You know, I've been here. This is an Uber waiting lot. We're literally working. You know, I've been here since. Criminals doing Uber? Oh yeah. That's not how it works, brother. Maybe criminals are doing ICE. How about that? You know what I'm saying? You guys shooting at people, man. Somebody just got shot for what? Why did you guys shoot that lady? Answer me that. There's an officer today that shot a lady in the head, dude. Really? For what? I don't know why they do that, man. You got all these stuff. You could have just got her, man.
Pause it. They're all they're laughing about that.
Bovino, yeah. It's Bovino right there, the head guy.
Incidentally, they're coming up to harass this guy. The guy knows his rights. He's not backing down. He had asked them at one point, "Why are you coming here? Because I got an accent?"
No. It starts with the officer saying, "I'm talking to you because you have an accent."
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
I'm sure that's why. Just the accent.
Yeah.
How'd they know?
Skin color.
Yeah, no, he says, "You don't look like me and you have a different accent from me."
Yeah. Which one came first?
Show random people my ID. You want to steal my identity? Where's your ID? Let me check if you're a U.S. citizen. How about that? Man, you guys better move on, man. Look at this motherfucker. A4. What kind of name is that? Alcohol 4? What's your initial? Right here. It ain't over there. Crazy motherfucker about to shoot. Why would I answer you?
Can we just step back? We have what a dozen feds surrounding.
12 guys sitting around here, and incidentally, they stay and engage this guy because they know they're getting embarrassed now, and they don't know really what to do. They know they can't just turn around and walk away because then they seem like they're weak. But so they're all just standing around, and this guy's just like, talking circles around them and dressing them down and embarrassing them, which is exactly what you should do. Yeah. If you have the ability to mock these people to their faces on video, do it. If you have the privilege of, and again, like obviously we've seen these people will draw on you and they will fire at you. But it certainly helps. And if you see somebody who's in a confrontation with ICE with ICE people, going over there and videotaping provides security for that person.
Why would I not be a citizen of this country, man? Are you a citizen? Why are you getting close? I can hear you. You can stand there. I'm not close. How come she got a GoPro and you got your a police issued body cam? What's going on with you guys? Why do I have it? What kind of shit is this? Dude, listen. I'm here working. You're working too, right? So go. It says U.S. Border Patrol. This is not the border. Go to the Canada border or the Mexico border.
But if you were from this country,
dude.
if you were from this country, I'm an immigration officer.
What do you mean if I'm from this country?
I can hear you don't have the same accent as me. That's why I'm.
Oh, so you're going by accents now?
I want to know where you were born. Where were you born?
Is that accents? Have you heard the Israeli accent? Have you heard the European accent?
You just
it's
proved
garbage.
my point. You're a brilliant
It's
man.
retarded,
You just proved my point.
You going by accents?
Man. You just proved other countries.
You guys want to argue? I got time. I got time today.
You're not arguing. You're proving my point.
Today, man.
Thank you, sir.
You guys do whatever you want to do.
Where's your ID, sir?
I'm not going to show you. I don't have to show you anything. If a police officer comes here, I'll comply with it. But U.S. Border Patrol, I don't even know if you're a real police officer. Where's your ID?
But you just said it.
Where's your ID?
You just said it.
And I'm not going to go by C20.
I mean, this buy your logic type bullshit from this fascist.
Exactly.
I mean, this is why these guys hide behind, Twitter or 4chan or whatever they're on. I know that they now hide behind their masks because they want to dress up like they're law enforcement. But
everybody who supports this shit has an anime profile picture. No one's putting their actual face to this shit.
Oh no. Well, I mean, that's why they hide their faces here, because they're trying to hide from the consequences. But but you see how a real law enforcement officer wouldn't be engaging like this. These are just basically members of the MAGA base that have been culled from the the far right base who signed up for this kind of thing, and they talk like it.
And I mean, this has been going on for a long time, of Nazis, white supremacists infiltrating all these law enforcement agencies, even beyond ICE. I mean, there's talk of it in the 70s.
Let's go to the what is the name of the
Timberwolves
Target Center?
The Target Center.
Oh.
Look, people know where my sympathies lie when it comes to the Timberwolves and the Celtics, whatnot. That's not important.
They developed Kevin Garnett for us.
That's true.
And Luka Garza.
I'm not such a Luka Garza fan.
I mean, look, I root for Minnesota teams in general because you guys have had it really rough. I mean,
yeah, it's been since Kirby Puckett in the 90s.
No Super Bowl.
I guess the Lynx got one.
Yeah, at least the Lynx got one. What'd you say?
They should just dismantle the Vikings.
Nevertheless, good on Timberwolves fans and the Timberwolves organization. Here's a shot from that Target Center.
Our thoughts are with our freedom and everyone affected. Now our hearts are with our community as we hope for healing and unity during this challenging time.
For folks saying they're saying we're going to do a moment of silence for this challenging time, and the newsworthy bit comes here after in the moment of silence.
Please join us in our moment of silence.
Way more appropriate than a moment of silence.
Way more appropriate.
Amazing.
Also, a moment of silence for this difficult time.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, well, it sounds like John Mulaney's statement about why he had to cancel those shows. What a coward. But yeah, I mean, of course, that's what they're going to say. But people, how communities are responding it should be that energy should be taken by any competent opposition party and packaged into an opposition on the national level. But all we have right now is local leadership and
Vichy collaborationists
and some progressives leading the way on messaging, at least.
Let's look at some of the other areas where our society is decomposing. Oh, let's just do Tony Ducopo.
Oh yeah, Tony Two Cuts.
Okay. This is a little bit.
100,000 views on that one.
There is. I have friends who work in the building where CBS News works. And I am told...
Fancy schmancy.
Is it a WeWork?
It is not a WeWork. I have friends in that building. And I spoke to one of those friends this morning. And he or she said to me that in conversations that they have had with, in particular, the union guys who have worked in that building for decades. And this person said to me, you know, one of the things that's really surprised me is how invested these union guys who work like, you know, they work the cameras, they work the lights, they work the sort of the physical plant. They don't, you know, they're not producers of the show, but they work, you know, they're crew.
Keep the lights on.
And he said, or she said, that they were surprised at how like emotionally invested they were in CBS News.
Yeah.
As like that they had been working there for decades, and they took pride in the lineage of like of Cronkite and so on, and like the idea that like this is important, and they're just like, we cannot believe this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specifically talking about like the town hall with Erica, like why is she there? And but that everybody in that building is like, it, all you need to do is just say one word about what's happening there, and people are just like pouring their hearts out about how disillusioned they are about what's going on in that building. And it is like reached peak embarrassment for CBS News people because of garbage like this. Tony,
he's not in the studio here, right? You know, he's doing a tour of America where he's showing up. It's like magic. One day he's in one place, and the other day he's in another.
People do that. It's really what he's like saying now. Like, yes,
I know.
it's all part of like this. We're getting out into the real America.
But it's weird that they're emphasizing it as if every news broadcast doesn't do something similar, but okay.
And here he is talking about like, understand what's going on here. To have this paramilitary force purposefully shooting an innocent person. Like, there was nothing to charge her with. There's no like, well, this clearly, never mind the first shot, the second and third shots, I mean, he's shooting into the side of the window. They're not supposed to be drawing their guns at all. They have no authority when it comes to U.S. citizens. And this is the way that, and it's not just obviously a doka pill. I mean, I'm sure he knows what he's supposed to do to get his treat from his master. You know, maybe he's writing this stuff himself. I mean, who knows? But honestly, it's all part of it.
But it sounds like if you were to ask AI, what would Barry Weiss write about this murder of Renee Good? This is what it would sound like, and it's just like they put it in and had him recite it.
There is so much to say about the last 24 hours, but sometimes what matters most is what is yet to be said at all, and what we all still need to hear. By now, we've all seen the videos. Renee Good is alive in those videos, behind the wheel of her SUV, her 3 children expecting mom home again soon. And we've seen the freeze frames, too. We've heard the political warfare, the clashing declarations about what happened. And unfortunately, we know the ending for Renee Good. Nothing is going to change that.
Can you
Yet what
pause
we
it for a
have not
sec
yet
and
heard-
just pause? Okay, so this is a minute and a half of monologue. The
Schmaltz.
first 30 seconds, so the first third of it, has been essentially this woman was killed, and you've seen video of it. And as a reminder, she's still dead.
And it was a land of contrast.
And wait, what was the
nutritious news?
What was the first couple of sentences? Like, I want to really like hold him to this.
He was alive, and then
No. The part about we've heard a lot of things, but sometimes what's most important is what we haven't heard.
We could say a lot of
and what we
things.
need to hear.
This is what we need to hear.
What's not been said?
Okay, go ahead.
There is so much to say about the last 24 hours, but sometimes what matters most is what is yet to be said at all, and what we all still need to hear. By now, we've all seen the videos. Renee Good is alive.
Hold on. What we all need to hear, because I want to just like track this. What we all need to hear.
Yeah.
Need to hear.
I'm getting
So,
AI from this.
Here's some
That's what I just said.
vegetables for you.
Yeah.
There's so much to say,
Yeah.
but what might be more important is what yet to be said.
Yep. And you know how? Yeah.
Incidentally,
Yeah.
those are the same things.
Yep.
If there's so much to be said,
Yeah.
that's going to come in the future. And what might be most important is what is yet to be said. So stuff that's going to be said, and what we all need to hear, which incidentally, you cannot hear until it's said. So he's saying that people are going to talk in the future, and that might be important.
He's filling time. We talk about on the show about how we have so much news to get to that we can't even wrap our arms around it, and we miss things during the day. He's literally filling time to obscure the reality of what happened here. I mean, it sounds like that Connor Roy eulogy that he gave.
This is very similar. This is like Chuck Schumer's disposition.
Yeah.
In a slightly sort of like, and then with some a tinge of like seasoning.
Also,
It's like I don't want to say anything. However, we have all of this obvious shit out there that people are watching. They see the video, and I'm going to just simply acknowledge that you see the video, and I'm going to say there's a lot of stuff that needs to be said about this.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be the guy to say it.
And I'm going to kind of position myself as above all the people who saw the video and reached a conclusion that this was bad.
And remember,
That's Barry
this is
Weiss's
the
whole
guy
thing.
who
Yeah.
started his whole, tenure a couple of days ago by saying, we need to hear from the people, not from the experts or the insiders. And then he goes on, and I think it's this
He
quote
does
where
say
he
it.
says, like, I've heard people on the street, but I've also had people who have my personal phone number and my email address,
Yeah.
who are obviously people of the street. Right, go ahead.
There is so much to say about the last 24 hours, but sometimes what matters most is what is yet to be said at all, and what we all still need to hear. By now, we've all seen the videos. Renee Good is alive in those videos, behind the wheel of her SUV, her 3 children expecting mom home again soon. And we've seen the freeze frames, too. We've heard the political warfare, the clashing declarations about what happened.
This is AI.
And unfortunately, we know the ending for Renee Good. Nothing is going to change that. Yet what we have not
Nothing's
yet heard is one another.
You could get justice for the guy who murdered her.
Yeah, but nothing's going to change for her.
But this is the presentation of both sides. I know that we have more to get to in this insane slop, but like the presentation of both. You may have reached a conclusion emotionally about seeing a woman, a mother, getting shot in the face 3 times at close range. You may have already made an assumption that that's not what the federal law enforcement should be doing to the citizenry. But I'm going to tell you there's more context here.
Yeah, you're close-minded.
While I'm pretending like I am presenting something fair, because that is what you are creating space for the Trump administration, for right-wing reactionaries to tell people don't believe your lying eyes.
Change that. Yet what we have not yet heard is one another. I spoke to people today who haven't slept since it happened, who want ICE out now, who don't like masked men on their streets, don't want their neighbors arrested, don't want families ripped
Shot in the
apart.
face.
But
I've heard, too, not on the streets protesting, but in passionate notes in my inbox from people who want to see our immigration laws enforced.
Fuck them.
Legally and peacefully and with safety for all, including the officers who in many cases are
popsicle,
also
too.
parents themselves. These are both deeply American sentiments.
Pause it for a second.
Oh, fuck.
How many times do you get to hear whether a murderer is also a parent?
How about those Klansmen that lynched a guy? What were they thinking
You know,
about?
look, there's a lot of people I've spoken to on the street who say we should not be racist. However,
Emmett Till wolf
there are
whistle.
some people who have my email address and they email and they make a pretty good case that they're parents too and also want to be racist.
And don't want their white daughter talked to like by Emmett Till like that.
You know, honestly, I was hesitant about criticizing Hitler for doing a genocide against Jewish people, but then I found out that he hadn't sired any children. And then I realized that it's okay to criticize him now because he's not a father and I won't be hurting their feelings.
Permanently put the filter on my email box to not take any emails from Hitler. So, go ahead.
Advice to those people who send me emails is stay in the shadows.
Legally and peacefully and with safety for all, including the officers who in many cases are also parents themselves. These are both deeply American sentiments. But our job now is maybe the most American thing of all. It's to find a way to live with people who are genuinely different from us, to try to be fair to them.
Pause it for a second. Wait.
I told you it's AI Barry.
Who are the people who are genuinely different from us?
Like immigrants?
Well, is it immigrants or is it people who shoot innocent people in the face?
Shoot, orphan.
Hey, fathers who shoot innocent people in the face.
Fathers who shoot innocent people in the face. Like, who are the people who are genuinely different than us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we supposed to be, is he saying that, like, we've got to get along with the people who are rounding up other people? Like, you know, it's easy to judge the, you know, like, the people who would round up the Japanese citizens in this country and put them into concentration camps and detention camps, but they may be different from you, not the Japanese people, but I'm talking about the rounder uppers.
Yeah, the roundup guys.
Because, but you've got, it's uniquely American
To think about the Goon Squad.
to have sympathy for that. Like, who is it that he won't say? Because this is how can I, this is my prompt. This is the prompt. If you want to be a CBS anchor now, this is the key AI prompt. And I'm giving it away. The prompt is, how do I say stuff that sounds like it might appeal to different constituencies, but is actually not choosing any type of side? Like,
no, it is choosing a side.
Well, it's choosing a side in that you're not choosing a side.
Right.
Between
in saying
the
there's
person
more
who shot them.
context. No, in saying that there's in even giving this oxygen, you're choosing a side, and then emphasizing that the ICE agent has maybe ejaculated before.
Do you not understand that it is one of the most uniquely American things?
Yeah.
To ask whether we can get along with people who are genuinely different than
With the
us.
standing occupying force. I think it's actually pretty American to say, why the fuck does this exist?
Yeah, I mean, the most American thing I can think of is that, I don't know, when I was growing up, I was taught that Nazis are bad. So
Well, but it's genuinely American
getting
to
emails saying
get
otherwise.
along with people who think that Nazis are very American.
I'm getting emails from mothers.
You and Greg Bavino together have some apple pie and taking a baseball game.
Exactly. Let's give it a try. Just go back a little because I love that line. It's amazing.
It's amazing how substanceless this is.
Parents themselves. These are both deeply American sentiments. But our job now is maybe the most American thing of all. It's to find a way to live with people who are genuinely different from us, to try to be fair to them, and in doing so, to make things better and keep things decent. Because in America, no one else is going to do it for us.
The press is basically, there's a lot of people in media that have decided, like, my job here is counterinsurgency and to make the population pacified. And this is just him consciously saying, an armed agent of the state shot a woman in the face. And his primary concern isn't like, let's get to the bottom of like how that happens. It's everybody just relax, chill, and get along.
But do you understand? I mean,
watch his commercials.
And he also says right here, and you got to go back a little bit to catch this. It's in America, nobody's going to do it for us. So I try to just like work my head around this.
Yeah.
Does that mean in, let's say, Germany, people would do it for you? And how do you square the idea that we have to get along with people that if you don't get along with it, the American government right now, as constituted by the Trump regime, will shoot you dead if you don't get along? I mean,
call you a terrorist.
What the? Like, is there no one editing this shit?
It's honestly like if we wrote the scripts to try to discredit them because
This
of
is
how
what it
we
would be.
expected it to go, it would be exactly this sort of schlock.
American sentiments. But our job now is maybe the most American thing of all. It's to find a way to live with people who are genuinely different from us. To try to be fair to them, and in doing so, to make things better and keep things decent. Because in America, no one else is going to do it for us. It's not my job to tell you what to think about what happened here yesterday, but I can tell you we owe our children a nation that is better than the one we live in today. And I can say that because we all know it's true.
Thanks, Smokey the Bear. Leave the park better than you found it.
Yeah.
I mean, you wonder why
It's
we're
just fascinating.
a brainless country at this point. Like,
How is his voice so low and his head is filled with helium?
I don't know. That's a good question.
how do people watch that and think they're getting anything out of it?
You know what? I think the ratings would suggest that
Right.
there's very few. I mean, the only positive I can say about this, I mean, honestly, after the first night, he had good ratings in the first night, and by the second night, like they were all gone. The only positive I can tell you is that you are not alone.
Oh my God!
That
There's
America
a second one.
has seen this.
This is
and also thinks it's
Oh, yes.
absolute steamed up garbage.
This isn't as long.
And you know it because it's true.
I mean, he's got some wisdom. Here's some more.
Last night we were live from Dallas, Southern Methodist University. The expectation was that we'd go on to Denver, but with the big news out of Minneapolis, we diverted here and we're gonna do the morning show, evening as well. Things change. That's the news.
I know everyone was.
Wait.
Everyone was really invested in him
That was,
being in
that was
Denver
just for
today.
the web, right? That was just for the web.
Yeah,
that wasn't
I'm pretty sure.
on the actual news.
Oh man, someone could do a funny AI edit if it was ethical to do so. But
all right, that's the sort of like
social, but
social
we were
media
making this
stuff.
point before the social media. We're making this point before the show though about how why are they playing up him going to different cities all the time as if this is like magic and as if anchors don't do this, and it's because it's like almost like he's like an influencer a little bit. Him talking to the press like this, that's how you sell a rich guy like Ellison on talking to the kids, because this is a Zionist-led effort to manufacture consent for like a new center that doesn't include the rapidly shifting viewpoints on the state of Israel, which include, basically some young Republicans, but a majority of independents and Democrats at this point. And so when you can talk like this and say, I'm moving around, where's Hassan going to be next? Is he going to be in the China or here or whatever? That's what they're trying to do. Jeremy Barr of The Guardian reported this yesterday. I headlined it, but you saw that the #2 producer on CBS News, Javier Guzman, left the show or was dismissed. Unclear on what the rationale was, but led to confusion in the newsroom in its only week 1 of the show. The timing is obviously not ideal with Tony Dokupol on a cross-country tour right now. So their number 2 producer was either fired or dismissed within the first week of this situation.
I mean, you obviously can substitute out ChatGPT for that dude anyways, and you've got the whole show. All right. We heard this on somebody had IM'd that the body cam footage of the killer.
He was filming the whole time.
He was yeah, actually it wasn't body cam footage. It was a cell phone footage.
Really in fear for his life, by the way, too. Filming the whole time, gun in the other, and he shot her with one hand. Renee Good.
Renee Good, you'll see her in this video before she is shot. The ICE, remember that this the ICE killer, he walked over, saw that he had killed her, walked back, got in his car, drove off with his cell phone and his weapon, fled the scene after he murdered this woman. And state officials were not given access to this footage. And they were prevented from getting it. And apparently it has leaked, obviously through ICE, to right-wing news. I don't know what Alpha News is, but I have a feeling it's probably not do we know what that is? Look it up, because I don't want to...
Minnesota and National News.
I imagine it's...
It looks like a right-wing Minnesota publication.
Yeah, I've Racket's the left one. I think Alpha must be a right wing.
Okay, well, let's. It was leaked to right-wing news outlets, and this is the, and you'll recall, he gets out of his vehicle and he circles around Renee Good's car. And you will see her. You'll see how threatening she is. And I don't know why they released this, because it doesn't purport to show that this guy's in any type of danger. But here it is.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead. Out of the car. Get out of the fucking
I think he'd already decided to shoot at this point.
So, I'm sorry. Get out of the car there, right? But
wait, is that the end of it? No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to note that you hear that the 2 officers approaching from the other car, that's when they're coming up, that's what they're saying to her.
Get out of the car. Whoa!
Fucking bitch.
He said fucking bitch.
Yeah. So they're trying to claim the right is taking a victory lap online about that footage. Because it doesn't show.
You can't see the wheels.
You can't see the wheels. But you see how calm he is, or at the very least, like not in danger as he gets in front of the car.
The idea that that's exculpatory in any way whatsoever. I mean, let's play that back at that moment where he definitely moves like this. He definitely has to move, and it makes us out, but he's not. He's like, whoa, that's it. And fires. Whoa. I mean, all you hear is, whoa.
Right. Whoa.
His gun shouldn't even be out at this point.
I mean, she's either
he
going at
draws
5 miles
his
an
gun.
hour.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
He draws his gun before she moves forward.
Oh, he wouldn't have been able to fire that quickly.
Yep.
There's pictures of it too.
He draws that gun before she moves forward.
She's turning the wheel. Did you see that?
Yep.
Go back and show. See, so she's the last.
Yeah, she's turning.
She's turning the wheels of the car clearly to do a.
By this point, it's already all the way
K-turn.
to the right. It's all you could just see her. There she is, the wheels all the way to the right, and she's going away from him, and he shoots her in the face. She's not turning after that because she's dead.
It also
he
shows
pulls his gun out before she goes forward.
Also, the right-wing narrative about the acceleration at the end of her life, which was clearly her body falling forward and like perhaps the gas getting pushed on, that the shots were fired after that acceleration happened, as if she was trying to hit him. I mean, that's completely undercut here. You see it right there.
If she was trying to hit him, she would have crashed into the house that's on screen right now.
If she was trying to hit him, she'd be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a serious argument here. We talked about.
No, we're
this
dealing with
yesterday.
fascists.
I mean, there's the fascists, there's the like, you know, religious evangelical base that has like basically transplanted also Trump into this godlike role, and they see his like ICE agents as executing his will, and that this is against the political enemies that they've always opposed. And so this is not something that can be confronted just by the facts, as we're clearly seeing right now.
Ben Shapiro, I saw that Crystal and Sagar had a debate on the shooting. I don't mean to impugn your fellow commentators, but what on earth is there to debate about?
Well, I mean, I couldn't watch that because I could barely stomach seeing what JD Vance was saying yesterday and Kristi Noem, but I'm sure Crystal held her own in that regard.
I mean, it's just the media we live in. But Sagar is a fascist, and he previously last year said, what was it? What did he say about the Venezuelan hairdresser that got sent to? Like, he's a nasty guy who will defend nasty shit. And it was nice that they got Glenn Greenwald on there to give him a little talking to. But he's not competent for this, and I assume he disgraced himself. I'm not going to watch it because I'm not going to watch that guy talk anymore.
Definitely not Cameron. This is what I can't get over. I feel like we're analyzing split-second moments that the people involved are not processing to the same degree. Why not ask the agent why the agent was walking in front of the vehicle in the first place? It is not important that he was walking in front of a vehicle ICE agents didn't have control over. That seems to be reckless to me, and there has to be a procedure saying not to do that. Oh, yeah. No, like, look, it is indisputable what the various procedures are. You're not supposed to, as ICE, you don't get in front of a car. You don't have the authority to draw on an American citizen. Use of de-escalation. This is from general principles. Respect for human life. To ensure that de-escalation, to ensure that DHS LEOs are proficient in a variety of techniques that could aid them appropriately resolving an encounter, components shall provide use of force training that includes de-escalation tactics and techniques. You go on and on. Moving vehicles, vessels, aircraft, or other conveyances, DHS LEOs are prohibited from discharging firearms at the operator of a moving vehicle, vessel, aircraft, or other conveyance unless the use of deadly force against the operator is justified under the standards articulated elsewhere in this policy. Firearms should not be discharged to disable moving vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. Before using deadly force under these circumstances, the LEO must take into consideration the hazards that may be posed to law enforcement and innocent bystanders by an out-of-control conveyance. In other words, if you're shooting at point blank a person to get their vehicle to stop, to stop, like that in and of itself was not procedure. Firearms shall not be discharged solely as a warning or signal at moving vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. There is no policy circumstance. But the point, the reason why people are analyzing the video in this way is because, broadly speaking, it is very difficult to win on charges against law enforcement in their duties, just as a sort of like a default. But in this instance, there is no reasonable interpretation, certainly not with the second and third shot, and even the first shot. But beyond a shadow of doubt,
Yeah.
that car does not have the ability to slide sideways.
Has this guy ever walked in a city in traffic, for example? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, you deal with more aggressive drivers when you're at a stop sign in a regular, like, environment. I mean, Ryan Grimm points this out. I didn't even hear this. That her last words, Renee Good's last words to Ross, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." That was what she said. And then you hear at the end is him saying, "Fucking bitch."
Yep. Yep.
Just a good reminder that these are also deeply, like, misogynistic. I don't know what this guy's background is, but there's...
according to his father, he is a good Christian conservative dad.
Sounds like it.
He is MAGA. He's been on the he's been in immigration enforcement for about 12 to 13 years.
It's a passion project.
Iraq vet.
That's important because, like, I think Graham Plattner had a really good statement on this, and that what these people are there to do is not keep us safe, but to intimidate political opponents. But this is the training that these people get. He had plenty of training throughout his life. Like,
This is not one of those people who've had 47 days or 37 days.
He's been there
of
12 to 13 years. He's probably training.
Yes, exactly.
But-
exactly.
But with this being imperial blowback, with him being a vet, I mean, you see how with DHS, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, it's what's my skill set and how can I apply it here? Well, we've built out an infrastructure for you to apply it here.
I mean, this is the crisis of masculinity, is that there's a whole bunch of men that have nothing to offer society except that they can put a gun in someone's fucking face.
And then now you have a $50,000 bonus if you want to make that your career. This is like, what this is like brown shirts. I mean, this is what they're trying to create. Yeah. I had.
Let's read some IMs.
Okay.
Heated bribery. He is also a green card marriage guy and has a Grindr account in interactions with male SW. I don't know.
I hadn't seen that, but
apparently his wife is from the Philippines.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Okay.
I don't want. We'll see. But, like, I mean, I said this yesterday. Remember those Border Patrol guys that had that Facebook group? ProPublica uncovered it, with a bunch of memes about raping AOC. And think about that video where you see, like, I don't know how many of these women that were, how many women were there that were legal observers, but the one you see at the beginning, there's another woman that's in, I don't want to presume her gender, but in his face. And then he ends it with "fucking bitch." Like, these are all interconnected. And, like, they're ramping up. When we talked about how they're not just going to stop at trans people, they are ramping up the homophobia about her too. We don't even need to dignify Jesse Waters with another segment about this, but he had some segment last night, essentially mocking her for being in a relationship with a woman.
Pronouns and
now that
bias.
her husband, her partner died in 2023 and her child's an orphan. That's what misogyny, homophobia, the transphobia, the racism. It's about giving these things oxygen. And right now they have maximum oxygen, and they all inform one another.
Brooklyn PD, if y'all are taking calls today, I'm a public defender in Brooklyn. Would love to add to Matt's take from yesterday about ICE and leadership response. There are parallels. 908 area code left is best. We'll have to wait until Monday for that. Congressional ping pong fan. After seeing Chuck Schumer hug Marco Rubio, it's very, very refreshing to hear you guys confirm yesterday both the Democratic Party and Republican Party are fascist. This is why the only political party I will support going forward is the American Communist Party. They're doing real good work on the ground, and I don't believe the smears said about them online. Just
Well, you're
read
an
the
idiot.
recent statement they published on the ICE shooting.
Yeah, don't
I
I am
also happen
again.
to know some members personally.
Yeah, well, they should join GSA.
I don't think that Matt said that the Democratic Party was a fascist. I think he said Chuck Schumer was fascist.
I think America is very fascist and it's endemic in both parties. I think it's also, from what I've seen, the LaRoucheite like sort of freaks that I think this person is talking about. There's a lot of fascism there too, and people should look into Lyndon LaRouche and his collaboration with the CIA. So yeah, no, fuck the American Communist Party.
Matthew from Milwaukee. Do y'all see Jesse Ventura yesterday?
We did, yeah. We maybe play that next week. I don't know.
Let's play it today.
Okay.
They'll be quick. Here's Jesse Ventura. He was governor 10 years ago now.
It's got to be longer than that.
Was it long? Oh, geez, I'm old. But he, former governor, former wrestler, former governor of Minnesota as an independent. I think he was probably left of center in his independence, but maybe a little bit of that sort of like libertarian hippie style stuff. But here he is talking about what's going on in this country today.
Chris, did it make you feel better to have that conversation, or what would you say?
No, I'm just saying, as a graduate of Roosevelt High School and as the former governor of Minnesota, I'm so proud of Roosevelt High School and how they stood up for what is supposed to be America and freedom. And freedom is not arresting people without warrants. We have a system here. It's called a Constitution. And we have a party, the Republicans, who don't seem to want to abide by the Constitution. January 6th is a prime example of that. And now they're all free and they're in charge. You know what? Maybe it's time for Jesse. I only did one term.
Pause it for 1 second. Just to fill you in, apparently there was an ICE raid at this school, Roosevelt School, and
That was their school.
They canceled classes after this raid.
Was that the footage of the teenager that was being kind of pushed to the ground by ICE?
Yes, in the
Yeah.
snow. I think that was it. Yes.
It's hard to keep track.
School
of
was
this.
being dismissed, and then these scumbags came and jumped somebody. It's unclear to me right now who it was, but the folks who worked at the school provided video on what was happening, et cetera. And the Federation of Teachers in Minneapolis came out. I guess it was an educator who was arrested and then released. And the union said that agents had deployed tear gas on people at the scene.
We have a system here. It's called a Constitution. And we have a party, the Republicans, who don't seem to want to abide by the Constitution. January 6th is a prime example of that. And now they're all free and they're in charge. You know what? Maybe it's time for Jesse. I only did one term. I'm owed a second.
Mr. Ventura, can you tell us, remind us, you went to school here?
I went to school here. I'm a 1969 graduate of Minneapolis Roosevelt. I'm proud of them for what they did. They made me proud as an alumni. Go Teddies.
What are your thoughts? I know we're jumping in, probably doubling up on
That's
some
all
of
right.
his questions, but what are some of your thoughts about what unfolded yesterday, and then after that, what you saw
Well,
unfold here?
I've told you already. We're a country of the Constitution. We have leadership now that has destroyed the Constitution. They don't follow it. They could care less about it. Am I right or wrong? I took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I view after January 6th, the Republican Party is a domestic enemy to our Constitution.
Oh, wow.
Get him.
I can't get any bolder than that, can I?
And you obviously saw the video that the student shot outside here, and that obviously elicited a lot of emotions for you. Just watching
What do you mean
that,
the student shot?
there were some
outside?
students that shot the video of the chaos here yesterday. It was
No, I
nice.
didn't even
Oh,
see
you didn't
it.
see it? Okay, I thought
I
you
didn't
did.
see it.
Okay, okay.
The only thing I've seen is the murder.
So talk about, you were a student here. When did you graduate?
All right, I think we get it. But Ventura's coming out, and he's also talking about the fascism that we're seeing. In another segment, he talks about when you start to see the military function as police officers, that's when you know you're living under, in his words, a dictatorship. Incidentally, there's footage of these ICE thugs and Border Patrol thugs going in and supposedly taking documents about the investigations that are ongoing in terms of the Medicaid fraud there. Again, they have no authority to in any way participate in this stuff. They have no authority. They are expanding the realms in which these thugs are operating. They are not staying within statutory guidelines. They are not staying within constitutional guidelines. They are blurring the lines between what constitutes the military and what constitutes police operations. And he talks about this. I mean, I think it's we lose sight of that. But what's the distinction between the military and policing? Like, why do we have a posse comitatus in this country? Is it because, like, is it the weapons? Is it like what's the point of it? They're blurring the lines between what constitutes a military force and a police force. Police force have much more rigid level of accountability, statutory guide rails in which they're supposed to operate, and the training. And now we're just getting these guys on there who are paramilitary groups.
I mean, the entire thing's a big joke. Like that we need them on the streets with guns anyway, as if there's some sort of, Trump literally called it an invasion of immigrants. No, we had an influx of immigrants because, in part, massive pandemic and our destabilizing countries in Caribbean and neighbors. Like, let's address those things.
All right, 5 more items, then we'll get out of here. Corporations ate my baby. Big, giant, vanilla ISIS babies. Ryan from Santa Monica. Long comment, but worth it. When I was in my late teens and early 20s, there was a local security firm that hired all the wannabe cops, the guys who everyone knew were psychos, idiots, bullies. The uniforms are black. The cars look like real police vehicles. Lots of people hired them. Within 3 years, we had a series of break-in burglaries performed by then, 2 rapes, a drunk guard crashing into his car into parking vehicles and fleeing the scene, eventually a murder. That finally closed the firm, but everyone who went to high school with them knew what they were. ICE are the same guys, only with more power, bigger weapons, federal immunity, and a free hand to themselves. Indeed. Pizza Dog. How far away is the international border from Minneapolis? And this is this in CBP jurisdiction? This is a cell phone lot, not even on the airport property, as far as I know. It's outside the airport fence. I don't know if they have jurisdiction closer to airports. I know that they have to be within 100 miles of the border. CPB does, but I also don't know if these guys haven't been sort of like deputized by ICE. It's unclear.
Great to have guys shooting people in the face and you don't know what the authority is.
Blaze Chadwell, writing in as I do every day to inform Emma that Tony Two Cuts is married to Katie Tur from MSNBC and they have kids together.
You don't need to keep
reminding
me. Yeah, I don't really care.
He's taken, Emma. Move on.
That's so clearly that's what this is about.
Oh, I just vomit onto the camera.
Illuminati kids, not to be dramatic, but this newscaster is the hellish incarnation of Kent Brockman in corporeal form. The prior CBS anchor guidelines have been replaced with watching the kids' news episode of The Simpsons once a day.
I mean, it really sucks. Like, I genuinely thought John Dickerson was, for the Sunday show hosts, good. Like,
yeah.
And, you replace him with, like, the worst.
Well, it was an institution. I mean, like, people are like, that I passed that building up, and then, it's up on the west side, right? The CBS building. And then you also have the ABC one on the upper west side. It's a little further up.
It's on, I think, 57th Street and like a 10th or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's we have many criticisms of the mainstream press, but there are people that are trying to do good work, and it's a real shame.
And they should get a sense of the urgency of it by this point, because your institutions are being hijacked.
Tater Tot, Renee Good's GoFundMe reaches $1.5 million, and I think they suspended it at that point.
That's awesome.
All right, 2 more IMs. Mega MCA. I recognize that you guys live in New York, so don't drive often. The car accelerated because the foot came off the brake because she was dying, and the car accelerated to its idle speed as they do because that's how they're designed.
I think it went
Just
faster
like
than
it's
idle.
not-
I
no.
drive. Like, I'm from North Dakota.
Yeah.
I've driven on snow before, too.
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily matter, but that was my read on it.
That
It
was
went-
not.
it went
that
fast.
was. It was going faster
Yeah.
than idle. You're not going to push 2 cars at an idle.
Maybe the initial way it jumped was that, but the acceleration afterwards, I think that was body on the.
Also, when you see how she slumped,
Yeah.
she's towards the gas, not towards the brake, towards the center of the car.
That's what happens when you shoot somebody and they're driving a car.
Yeah.
Like, they're usually hovering over the gas pedal.
Yeah, I'll look into that Jack Smith recent deposition from Jackie IEC. Let's see. Here we go. The final IM of the week. Ugh. Brooklyn Progressive. Zoran is also fixing small quality of life issues like the Williamsburg Bridge bike path bump.
Yep.
It's refreshing to see government work for the people.
Because just really quick, just how smart this administration is, knowing that some of the affordability stuff is a little bit out of his control with the tariffs, with inflation, delivering on small things while he can work on the more longer term projects. I mean, it's well done.
Nice to end on at least a somewhat positive note. Take care of yourselves. Matt, Ryan, Emma, great job this week. Folks, we'll see you on Monday.